We said that the outer part of the cerebrum is called what?
The gray matter or cerebral cortex.
Cerebral cortex, Abi?
Yes.
Why is it called cerebral cortex? It's
Because
of the unsheathed nerve
it
cells.
consists of gray bodies. You are sleeping. It consists of gray bodies of neurons. It consists of gray bodies of neurons. What do you call these neurons?
Nerve.
A unit
of
the
nerve.
nerve. A unit. Just like we have a unit of the excretory apparatus, the kidney. A unit of it is called the nephron. So neuron. So it's called gray cell bodies. That's why we call it gray matter. Now let's take just two main functions of the cerebrum. Number one, if you have to forget anything, you should not be forgetful of this. The cerebrum is the center of intelligence.
Yes.
That's number one. It is the center of intelligence. Or we say the seat of consciousness. Memory, judgment, learning, and imagination. That means if anything should happen to the cerebrum, the person becomes unconscious. And that means if that part of the brain lose memory, you understand now? So you won't be able to, assimilate. You'll not be able to learn. So that is why the one function that you must not forget is what? That the cerebrum is what? The seat of consciousness, the seat of intelligence, the seat of learning, judgment, memory. Number one. Another one, the second one. It controls all voluntary action. That's number two. It controls what? All voluntary what? Action. The movement of the part of the body. You want to speak, you speak voluntarily. You cannot tell us that you were unconscious, that was you were just speaking. So voluntarily. So two things now. It controls all voluntary actions. Secondly, it is the seat of consciousness, learning, judgment, and what?
Imagination, memory.
Yes.
Blah 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 blah.
But another one that is, you can also, because we may find this function carried out by another part of the brain. It is responsible for collection of information from sense organs,
and
storage of such information for later use. So that one. Now let's move on to the second one. We have cuts, not clothes. This one has been dealt with. Cerebrum has been dealt with. Then let's look at the olfactory lobe. Olfactory lobe. Yes, if nobody is going to remember the function of the olfactory lobe, maybe somebody should just put it now. So if you're able to perceive it, it is because the olfactory lobe is sensitive, is functioning. Yes. So these structures, their location is what maybe in OBJ question can put a student in a tight corner. For example, take this down now. The olfactory lobe, they appear of small structures. They appear what? Small structures located anteriorly. What is the opposite of anterior?
Posterior.
Anteriorly. They are located what? Anteriorly.
Pairs of small structures.
On the cerebrum. Anteriorly on the cerebrum. That means iwaju cerebrum. Now, what is the function? As I've said, they receive sensory impulses of smell. We said nervous system. The blood flows in the blood vessels.
Yes.
Like what? Arteries and veins. Arteries and veins. Now, but the nervous system, what flows in the nervous system? Impulses. Impulses. So they flow in the nervous system, in the nerves. Yes. Now let's go to the second part. Now we have
sensory waiting.
See, remember what?
They receive sensory
they receive sensory impulses of smell. Seals. Sensory impulses of smell. That's what they receive. What's that? What would they do when they receive it? What do they do?
Take it to
where did they receive the sensory impulses of smell from?
Environment.
From the olfactory organ. Mention one.
Nose.
Nose. Do you want to mention your ear? Do you perceive smell by your ear?
Like organ.
They receive these lobes that are in front of the cerebrum.
Yes.
Which is part of is the nose part of the brain?
No.
But the brain is what? Olfactory organ.
The nose is the olfactory organ.
The nose is the olfactory organ. We have two lobes in front of the cerebrum. What this one will do is that the sensory impulse of smell will be received by them. Yes. Let's move on. That one is not. What does that mean to the animal? What does that mean to the animal? Having this, you will be conscious of your environment. You can see that. Okay. Right. Why I continue now? Go wire. Or you say that, because your factory lobes are what? Sensitive. That one, no student should even have issue with it. So why you say olfactory lobe? The next one, the thalamus, the T part of our cords. The T part of our cords. We call it the thalamus. Don't confuse it with hypo. Hypo is below. Now, the thalamus, they are located above the midbrain. They are located above what? The midbrain. Yes. And they contain some mass of gray matter. Where did we first mention gray matter? This vocabulary was first mentioned where?
The outer.
It was first mentioned where?
The outer.
Under cerebrum. The outer part of the cerebrum.
The outer surface of the cerebrum.
And they contain.
The inner surface is what now? The inner surface of
white matter.
White matter. So we first mentioned it under what? Cerebrum. The outer surface. That's the gray matter. Is that not?
Yes.
What other name do you have for the gray matter? Yes,
Cerebral cortex.
Cerebral cortex. So this part now, what's the function? Remember, we said something about cerebrum. The seat of intelligence, judgment, learning, and what? Yes, it controls all voluntary actions. Voluntary action that you volunteer to do. You are not forced to do it. You understand now? So it's voluntary. Now, this particular thalamus is the center of sensation of pain, touch, taste, and anger. Sensation of what? Touch, taste, pain, and anger. How can we put it so that students will be able to remember it? We have sensation of what? Thalamus. Sensation of what? Pain. Touch.
And anger.
Taste.
And
anger.
Like Joseph yesterday, I'll stimulate the
Adrenaline, right?
So, what stimulates the thalamus? They will be body. So, we said that the thalamus is the center of sensation. This center receives the sensation of touch, sensation of pain,
anger,
sensation of taste, sensation of anger. That means if you are without thalamus, you never get angry and you will not be able to taste food. That means if there is a chemical that acts on the thalamus now, food will become tasteless. That means if surgery is going to be carried out, which part of the brain should be deadened so that the patient will not feel any pain during the course of the surgical operation? The what?
The thalamus.
The thalamus. Remember the center of intelligence. What?
Cerebrum.
Okay. The thalamus also directs sensory impulses from the lower part of the brain. It directs sensory impulses from the lower part of the brain and spinal cord. And the spinal cord. It also acts as an impotent relay center from the cerebrum to the spinal cord.
As an impotent relay center
from the cerebrum to the spinal cord. The next one now, let's take the last on this list. Remember the cerebrum to the what? Cords.
Spinal cord.
We have dealt with the cerebrum,
yes,
which is a part of the what? The forebrain.
Yes.
We have dealt with the olfactory lobe, which is also a part of the forebrain. We have dealt with the thalamus, which is also a part of the forebrain.
Yes.
Now let's look at the hypothalamus.
Hypo.
When you say that something is hypo, what does it mean?
High.
It is below the thalamus, not high. It is what? Below the thalamus. When you say that hypo, below. Hyper, above. So it's below. What's the function of the thalamus now? What do you think is it? So take this.
They are located below the membrane.
Yes, they are located below the thalamus. The thalamus is above the hypothalamus. Take this now. The thalamus is connected to the pituitary gland. We are underlying pituitary gland.
Thalamus or the hypothalamus?
The hypothalamus is connected to the what? Pituitary gland. It contains reflex centers. Underlying reflex centers there. It contains reflex centers that is linked to the autonomous nervous system. We are still going to say something. In our next lecture, we are going to talk more about the autonomic nervous system. But here, we conclude this lecture by looking at the functions of the what? Hypothalamus. Remember, the seat of intelligence is what?
Cerebrum.
The cerebrum. And the cerebrum is a part of the what?
Forebrain.
Forebrain. The second part?
Olfactory lobe.
The third part?
Thalamus. Hypothalamus.
What's the function of the thalamus?
The thalamus
Is the what?
center for sensation of pain, taste,
And what?
and anger.
That's good. Now let's take the function of the hypothalamus now.
Sorry,
The hypothalamus is below the thalamus. And this is the fourth part of the what? The forebrain. Yes. Who wants to ask me a question?
You said it contains reflex center that is linked
to the autonomic nervous system. So let's leave it there. When we in our next lecture we'll continue from there. Now let's look at the function now. The hypothalamus now is the one that regulates body temperature, water balance, and blood pressure. If you have a high blood pressure, maybe the hypothalamus has broken down or it cannot control it again.
Water kidney.
So in that case now, let's use another language now. We have the hypothalamus regulating the what now? Body temperature. Which other language can we use for this now? The one that controls body temperature. It controls body temperature. Which other language can we use for body temperature now? When we say that it controls body temperature. For example now,
regulation of heat.
Regulation of body temperature. Look at it, for example, where we say it controls water balance. What does that mean? Water balance. Osmosis has to do with movement of water molecules, have you? So, osmoregulation. Look at it now. Osmoregulation is carried out. Is the function of what? The hypothalamus. Is that not?
Yes.
Now, the third one, which is blood pressure. So what can we use to represent that body temperature? Or we take it as assignments. Say this one, water balance, osmoregulation. Osmoregulation. So for body temperature, yes.
Heat change.
Thermo what?
Oh, thermometer.
Thermometer
No.
is the thermometer of the body. Another function of the hypothalamus, you are going to come to that too. It is the center that controls appetite. If you lose your appetite, your hypothalamus has been tampered with. Hypothalamus. Yes. So the hypothalamus. Another one is that it controls speech. If something happens to the hypothalamus during what now? It controls speech during the early years, developmental years of a baby. The speech will be affected. What controls it?
Hypothalamus.
This one is also the seat of anger and aggression.
Okay.
What stimulates the hypothalamus a lot? Now we made mention of anger at where?
At thalamus.
Thalamus. You know they are connected. It's below it. Yes. So the thalamus is the center of what that receives the sensation of what? Pain, touch, taste, and anger. But this one is also what?
Anger.
The seat of anger and aggression. And the last one, it controls hormone secretion from the master gland, from the pituitary gland. So in our next video, we look at the midbrain as well as the hindbrain. So you can connect with us on our WhatsApp channels. Thanks so much.